Head to Knoxville, don't be late. Baker's Live, it's gonna be great. June 5th and 6th, mark your date at Dollywood, we'll celebrate. Meet Baker and more cool friends. Live show magic that never ends. Come to Dollywood, feel the vibe. With great people there, it's gonna be a ride. Rides, fun, and meet and greet. Baker and pals, the crew's so sweet. Get ready for laughs, cheers, and thrills. Knoxville's the place, it's giving chills. Meet Baker and more cool friends. Live show magic that never ends. Come to Dollywood, feel the vibe. With great people there, it's gonna be a ride. June 5th and 6th, don't miss the fun. Meet Baker and friends, it's second to none. Baker and friends, it's second to none.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, whoever you are, what if any you might be. And sorry, again, I had a makeup accident, and that's why we are slightly delayed. But, you know, we are worth waiting for. Well, my guests are worth waiting for. And thank you, Little B, for gifting 5 memberships. Chats, please put a red question mark if you have questions. Super chats I'll get to as we can when there's a natural break. But you're not here to listen to me complaining about my eyelash curler getting stuck. You are here to meet our wonderful guests. And starting out with a reoccurring guest, Valhalla.
How we doing? What's going on, y'all? Hope everybody's having a great day. And just to clarify, Baker's makeup accident, we'll just call it a bleaching accident and leave it at that. That's what we'll do.
And new guest on the channel, Martin, brother Counsel. Welcome to the show, or whatever we can call this.
Well, thanks for having me, Baker. And the truth is that after you became a certified grifter, taking the test, I saw that you did a good job and we're serious about it. You didn't go into the dark room like I told you to, but you know, you probably had a lot of introspection before you did the test. So anyone that does that test and takes the test and grades themselves honestly, you know, how can I not go on their show? So I appreciate the invite, and I'm sure it'll be fun.
And last but absolutely not least, another reoccurring guest, Miss Brandi Churchwell.
Hey, hi. He's a liar, first of all. He is not late because of a makeup incident. He is late because it is all my fault, and I take full responsibility for my behavior and my actions, and I'm sorry.
Okay, in all fairness, it was Brandy's fault.
It was my fault. I'm
She was
so
late.
sorry. I was like, yeah, it's 2:00. Gotcha. I'll see you then. And I forgot. I've been East Coast time zone for the past month, and now I'm back at the beach. So now I'm Central time zone, and I totally forgot. So that was all my fault. I take full responsibility, but my bad.
We'll forgive you this time.
Thanks. Thanks.
And let's get. I saw a thing on Twitch, and I think that it could be a starting point for today's discussion. The new standard in lawfare that chain of custody reports. If you write them in with the first 3 to 5 years, it'll be fine. It's just it's nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
The
fine.
last week in the Karen Reed has been, let's say it, crazy. We've been through it for 2 years and seen a lot of crazy stuff. Lally changing the timeline in his closing argument, disagreeing with his expert. But I don't think I've seen so many spelling mistakes. And I'm dyslexic, so I can make fun of spelling mistakes. You can't even spell the lead prosecutor's name. They can't spell police. They now claim that it's not important to have video of the purported murder weapon.
Yeah, Brennan can't even spell his own name, so that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's Brennan. I'm Hank Brennan, and I'm here to spin some crap for you. And it's that's in more than one document, by the way. That's not just like an oops. And he has misspelled his own name in more than one court document. That's amazing.
Is that him or is that like his staff or whatever?
Whoever it is,
Still pretty abysmal.
It's in big bold letters. Like, that's not accidentally
Lally.
forgetting Central and Eastern time zone. That's your name, bro. Like, it's like right there. And,
That's
like
Lally making him look good. That's
yeah.
Well, I mean, as we heard in this case, sometimes the most obvious things that are right in front of your face, you don't see, like John's body sitting in the front yard, all those people,
right?
sometimes you just don't see it, even though it's staring you right in the face.
Yeah.
So, as the only lawyer on the panel, the amount of trust me, bro, that's gone into the last week. Have you seen this at any point? I've only been doing YouTube things for the last 2 years, but again, I've been a layman for 13 years in Denmark, and I've never ever I've seen unprepared prosecutors, but I've never seen evidence. Do you need a chain of custody report? We don't have it. Oh, by the way, we're just writing one. Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, chain of custody is pretty basic. It's one of the first things that you learn about in criminal law, about how important it is to keep the chain of custody. Definitely something that you always go attack on cross-examination or explore if there's anything to be explored there. And yeah, I mean, you talk about these Sallyport videos, you talk about the videos coming up after, suddenly appearing after trial and more continue to appear. And when is it going to be, how, what was striking me, how Brennan said that he just can't have any confidence that he's going to get all the discovery and the ARC experts. Remember how he said that? Like, they're telling me they turned over all the, discovery, because part of Alessi's argument was, look, we're before the second trial, as the judge yourself said, this is a second trial. So not everything, we don't really look back to the first trial and try to drag everything to the second trial. We have a new trial. So therefore, since this is a new trial, so, some of the arguments that Alessi was making about her rulings, and this is a new trial, right? So if that's the case, well, then this is all the discovery for the ARC experts. So we're giving it to you. So what do you want? You wanted to strike the ARC experts? Well, we're giving you the discovery now. So what's your argument now? And what Brennan was saying, well, we can't have any confidence that this is all the discovery, right? How are we supposed to have that type of confidence when you are hiding things or, not turning things over? Who knows what else is you're hiding? The defense can turn around and flip the script and say, and let's talk about the videos. How can we have any sort of confidence that we're having all the videos now? Videos keep appearing. So the same
still
argument.
getting new videos. A
Yeah.
year after the
in
first
January.
trial.
Yeah.
So
I actually,
it's
that was one of the things that I think was the hardest for me, is that like the hypocrisy of that, the double standard of that. And because what you're saying to me is one of the things that I was like, how did they not see the irony in this? And the, ARCA stuff, that report was done in February before they met him anyway. So that doesn't change, any of the extra stuff that they had, that doesn't change anything. But these Sallyport videos change everything. Like that could potentially change everything. That gives, more information into things that gives information we don't have. The ARCA stuff is just ARCA stuff. Now they have it all. So that was one of the things that drove me nuts too.
Yeah. I mean, look, I understand the argument like that Brendan's saying, like, it would have been nice in the first trial to know, even though they didn't pay them, when that bill came was in July, right? So that was after the trial. So in terms of the bill, they couldn't argue anything to the jury, like, oh, look how much they paid them. they didn't pay them till after the trial. There's no bill submitted till after the trial, I believe, unless you can correct me if I'm wrong. I thought that the bill was submitted in July, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't want to.
Yeah, three weeks.
Facts. So
around 3 weeks after the trial.
Right. So the only thing that they could have potentially used an argument to the jury was that there is some sort of email communication and there's this outline. And the outline definitely is something that they could have used in cross-examination. They could have told the jury, look, they were all practicing their lines, their questions and answers before already. But to your point, Brandi, it doesn't take away from the fact that their reconstruction and everything was done. Their conclusions and opinions already they came to them before there's any interaction with the defense. So yeah. So I mean, like they're definitely, just to be fair, like there definitely could have been stuff that they could have used for cross-examination and arguments to the jury in terms of the ARCA stuff. But the Sallyport videos is just it's extremely critical, right? It's extremely material, and it's just every time they go looking for more videos, they find more videos. So how can we have any sort of confidence at all that this is the extent of the videos? They're finding videos now in paper files, which get transferred to other files, and then somehow, all of a sudden they're making appearances now. So how many more of those are we going to have? Like it's just. And like you said, like somebody mentioned, like it's the murder weapon, right? I mean, the car is the murder weapon. That was their theory from the beginning. So, some people are arguing, well, how are they supposed to even know that video would be important? Well, it is the video of the murder weapon, and you should make sure that the video is preserved. Like that's a duty of the prosecutor to preserve this evidence, even without formal requests or informal requests. So. There was some talk about this in the motion. I'm sure you're going to get into it, so maybe I should just stop because I'm long-winded. So,
and I just have to.
I don't want to sabotage your show.
As I said, Martin is the only lawyer on the panel. Everyone is saying, "Oh, what kind of lawyer is Baker?" I'm a certified grifter, but not a lawyer. And in the legal world, grifters is slightly above lawyer status, but only slightly. We don't go to school for as long, but we talk more.
I don't think Brandi took the test like you did, Baker. I mean,
no, she's not a grifter. She's just
Brandi. There is a peer-reviewed test that I put out.
I will have to take it because I'm getting a lot of I get called that a lot. I get called a grifter a lot. So I feel like I need to be certified to make to make the argument official. So I'll have to.
Yeah, because I think personally I think I'm pretty much center in this whole thing. Like I'm calling it out, I'm seeing it. I'm not embracing this, conspiracy and, biting, completely going for it. And I realized right away, even though I still think that the verdict should have been not guilty, I'm very clear about that because they didn't have enough evidence to convict her. You can't make any side, you can't make the anti-free Karen readers happy with that. Unless you 100% say Karen Reed hit him and she's guilty as sin, they won't be happy with you. I discovered that. I was like, hey, I'm the most objective person here. I'm saying, I'm not completely agreeing with the conspiracy, but I still think that there's enough reasonable doubt here. There's definitely questions and we don't know the full story here. So just objectively speaking, you can't convict a person like this. And they're just, grifter. I'm like, okay. I guess there's no way of making you people happy.
Yeah,
and that's the problem. When as soon as you came into this trial, and you and lawyer, were very fast being called fence sitters because you didn't go either way. You said, well, I'm going to see the evidence and I'm going to do due diligence and look at the case, and that's a weird thing. And both sides is you must trust my story. No, you have to look at it, and an objective mind going into this will end up with, well, this case probably shouldn't have been tried at the first place because there's enough reasonable doubt in the case. And I've never bought into that. I need an opinion about was it Colonel Mustard in the conservatory with the frying pan? I just need to say, well, my belief is Karen Reed didn't do it, and I think the science prove it by the ARCA guys. And Brandi, you know it too. Sometimes you get called all kinds of names if you don't think
Yeah.
that Colin did it or Chloe
Yeah.
did it, or
Yeah.
it's a weird case. There's a lot of emotional stuff
And
going
yeah.
on.
you and I have had that conversation before too, Baker, because you and I have always been kind of on that same path of like, I'm not saying that he was beat up in the basement and drug outside. I'm not saying that. I've said over
I'll
and
say
over,
that.
I don't know what happened because I wasn't there. So like I have my own thoughts on it, and going through doing the podcast and like streaming everything and all of that, people have tried for so long to get me to say exactly what I think happened, and I won't, because I'm like, okay, but what if I'm wrong? I don't want to. And it's different because it's different when you're just discussing, what you think could have happened. There's a different kind of like responsibility that falls on me because of the podcast, because of, so anything that I say is like recorded and screenshotted and used against me every time. But I've tried to be very careful about giving specifics on what I think happened because I don't know. So and the whole point of 13th juror is to look at this, and weigh evidence the way that jurors are supposed to weigh evidence. Obviously we have a lot more information than the jurors do, but the whole thing is about to look at the evidence and see, what we think about the case. And so I got some crap for being a fence sitter for a while. I got some, crap for like, how do you not see that this is what happened, or this is what happened, or that didn't happen? And, if you don't buy into everything exactly how they say, but I think that that's one of the issues with this case, is that it has made it harder for people to take that perspective, to say, like, I don't think that it was proven. I don't think that, there's enough evidence. That makes it harder for people, because then so many people have it in their head, like, if you're not saying she's guilty, that means that you automatically believe all of this, and I'm going to attack you because how dare you say that Colin did it, or that, whatever else. And it's not one or the other. And I think that that's what people forget.
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken about that exact point, and which is why when there's some reports that Ted Daniel came out with that the federal investigation is closed, right? So, I mean, even me personally, which again, I'm pretty much in the middle, but like people have been coming out, oh, well, now that federal investigation is over, are you going to come out and admit that you were wrong this whole time?
Right.
And I'm like, I never said that there was a conspiracy. Like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Like if you set this up as there's only two options, conspiracy or she's guilty of sin. So then, yeah, if there's no conspiracy, I guess she's guilty of sin. But if that's not the way you're approaching it, which is either like the way that I approached it, just a strictly a legal standpoint, is either the Commonwealth proved their case beyond a reasonable doubt, or they didn't. And if they didn't prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt, well, then, like Dr. Menschel said, there can be an infinite amount of possibilities that happen. And I can't tell you which one is the one, because we don't have enough evidence to say anything happened that night. We have a lot of evidence that points to a lot of different possible conclusions, but that's the whole point. The whole point is that there's been not enough evidence to point to one specific conclusion that absolutely happened. So, like I said, like even if the federal investigation is over, like even if it is over, all that tells me is that they didn't have enough evidence to convict a single individual based on a conspiracy or a cover-up. Right. Does that mean that the investigating was not completely sloppy? Does that mean that they were not trying to protect the Boston cop by not searching his house when it's very obvious that there was probable cause there, or not even, I think, attempt to try to search his house or ask permission? So, and Proctor texting them from the first day that cop's not, the homeowner's not going to catch anything because he's a Boston cop, and the girl's going to be in trouble after a day into the investigation. So that doesn't take away all those facts. Those facts are still remain the same. And if those facts are what they are, and by the way, did anybody see any update about Trooper Proctor's administrative situation these days? Like, what's going on with his?
Not lately.
He has another hearing. It was continued until this coming week, right? Is it? Does he go back this coming week?
I believe it's on the no, it can't be.
I know he had one recently, and then I
wasn't it on the 5th, the same day they're going to federal?
I think so.
Yeah. I think it's the 5th.
Yeah,
that's what I thought too.
Because I mean, can you imagine like if he gets suspended, indefinitely or whatever, and then they're going to call him as a witness. And they're going to be able to tell the jury, look, I mean, this is the lead investigator who, because of his actions that he took in this case,
exactly,
was suspended without pay forever, indefinitely. And we have to trust his integrity in this investigation in order to convict our client. Like, I mean, that's extremely strong. Now, if he comes out unscathed and he comes out getting his job back and everything, well, that can work against Karen Reed. So, But as we sit here today, at the end of the day, all the evidence still remains the same. All those people left the house without seeing a body there. There's phones getting destroyed, and now we have and this is something that's interesting because I saw this actually contested in the motion that was just filed, right? Was Brian Higgins on the phone or not at 1:30 in the morning? The defense in their motion to dismiss says they've got videos showing that Brian Higgins was on the phone at 1:30 in the morning. Mm-hmm. And in the opposition papers, in the Commonwealth response, they don't say a word about him being on the phone. They just say that he was in and around the Canton Police Department.
Yeah, as they said.
Is he on the phone or not? Like, the video should be pretty clear. Like, if the defense is saying something, then I'm assuming they're not going to just come and lie about something that they can you see with their own two eyes that it's not, it's not true. So that was like, if he's on the phone now, it's all this evidence still remains the same. All this is still there, whether there's a conspiracy or not. There's still all these other issues in this case that was never followed up on, and other people weren't investigated properly, and therefore that's where we are today. So it's still gonna.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, so I'm saying right now, as we said today, there's still reasonable doubt. Like I keep saying on my channel, I don't know what the second trial is going to show us. Like, if this new expert that the Commonwealth is going to bring is just so persuasive, and he's able to show how the ARC experts don't know how to do basic math and science and physics, and they just are completely off, and he's going to explain everything perfectly to the jury, and he's just so personable and intelligent, and he just sweeps them off their feet. Okay, yeah, maybe. I can't tell you for sure until I see the second trial. But from what we saw from the first trial, I don't see how those ARC experts are going to not at least create reasonable doubt. But anything can happen.
And you could clearly tell they are professional witnesses. Because one of the big problems I had with the first trial was the 227 ended up with being tech mumbo jumbo, and this, an expert doesn't need to be the smartest person, but he needs to be able to communicate to the dumbest person, and right. that's the problem that they had. That he's probably very great at his job, digging in all this forensic, but I just didn't understand a word of hashtags and hash files and byte marks and bit marks and whatever it was. You need great communicating expert. You don't need the smartest person to be an expert. But I'm just going to go through a few things. Zach is saying, may I ask a hypothetical question? What? That's a hypothetical. Can you work a Schrodinger's evidence joke into this and then explain it to the nice blonde lady? No, Zach. And Kim says, can I just say how excited I am for this discussion? Thank you for confirming that I'm not crazy. Gaslighting in this case is wild. I agree, Kim. And thank you, Marissa, for 5 Broken Baker memberships. I want to know why there's no picture or video of her car before the tow truck driver touched the car. Why didn't he call to say what condition it was in? That's another thing that in the motion to dismiss, where they write that the Dayton cop confirmed that the tail light was broken.
He said cracked.
He clearly said it was cracked.
Yeah.
During the trial.
Yeah.
And they say it's broken, and then they put in, he said cracked to confirm it was broken. But again, it's all of this shenanigans going on in this case where they clearly misstate. And why are there never any affidavits attached to any Commonwealth motions?
Yeah.
Wasn't the last one not signed? The last?
Yeah, it was just, I don't even think it's e-signed.
Yeah.
Let me take a look. I got it right here. Let me see.
Can't mess
well, I mean, it's signed. I mean, we would consider that signed in our jurisdiction. It's an electrical signature, but and maybe that's not how he's been signing his pleadings, but it's considered a signed pleading in my view, because he got the S there, and it's he's got his name, and I mean, at least in my jurisdiction, that's considered that you're signing it. I thought something interesting about the opposition to the Commonwealth's motion was when they're talking about the trial prosecutor was not aware of the existence of the surveillance video. And I thought Brandi did a whole, was it you, Brandi, or was it somebody else who was showing how they were able to see a screenshot of the Commonwealth's computers, which showed like last date modified. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, Olivia shared that. I had it in my video where I went through it, where you could see the last modifications
Yeah.
happened in 2024 and 2023,
Yeah.
which should be impossible because they didn't obtain it till after the trial.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
And there's, and
Well-
the what is her name? Abigail is the one who I think found it. I want to try to give credit to the right person. I think it's
Yeah,
Abigail.
I stole it off Olivia. So
Olivia.
I think it's Abigail. Her name is the one who found it.
Yeah,
but-
Video Jesus.
Yeah. She goes by Video Jesus on Twitter.
Oh, yeah. So I mean, but aside from that, like I thought something interesting in this motion to dismiss where Brennan says that they were not aware of the existence of the surveillance video. I mean, the prosecutor, referring to Lally, obviously, was not aware of the existence of the surveillance video at all until the federal grand jury transcript from Trooper Michael Proctor. Now, there's no date of when Michael Proctor's testimony in the federal grand jury was. Do you know when that was, Brandi?
I probably have it on my spreadsheet. I have almost everything on my spreadsheet.
Yeah.
It was February 24th or something, I think is what it was, but I can double check.
February 24th of what year?
Of 2024. So it was a couple months before. Hold on, let me see if I have it on my sheet. So it was a few months before the trial started, and he said at the federal grand jury that that he had seen all of the video, and he's like, well, it's been a while since I've seen it, so he had seen it long before.
And that's the first time the prosecutor found out about it. So okay, I thought it was in 2023 sometimes, but February 2024, and then they turned it over on April 4th, 2024. What's this? What do you got there? Oh,
That's the screenshot.
Okay, I can't see it so clearly, but
No, it's a picture of a picture. So it's but this is interior Sallyport. That's date modified. That's some of them are 2023. They're back to 2023, and then there's a couple that's been modified in 2024. So how couldn't they have them? Because that's all of the videos they now are turning over have modified dates. That's more than a year old.
Well,
right.
somebody's
So, again,
clearly
so
lying.
there was no. It seems that there. So now it seems that at the one hand, there was no. The prosecutor didn't know about the existence of the surveillance videos. Does that mean that they made some sort of reasonable inquiry into the status or existence of the surveillance video? Does that mean that he made that inquiry and it came back as no, we don't have anything? Did he not make the inquiry? Because as a prosecutor, you're supposed to make the inquiry. Now, if you're going to argue, well, he didn't know that there was anything significant to have the video of, well, then why did the police must have thought that something was significant because they saved it? And then they came back and were talking about it during the federal grand jury, and now we keep finding more videos of the Sallyport. So, is it that the prosecutor didn't feel that it was important enough that it's not material because the ever evolving theories of the defense? And if they didn't think, and if the prosecutor didn't think it was material, why did the police think that it was material and that they had to save it? And now you keep finding so many different copies of that Sallyport video. I mean, like, which one is it? So like it's, the more you dig into these Sallyport videos, I mean, the more we get questions, which is why I think, like, I've been talking about this as I was reviewing the motion and the response, is that I think the only real way to get to the bottom of all this is to have an evidentiary hearing. You got to call these people who are involved in the videos. You got to call Lally, you got to call McClough and say, well, okay, we got to get to the bottom of what's going on with these videos.
Yeah.
We're just right now, we're just, taking Hank Brennan's word on it.
And we all know what good that is, his word.
Yeah, and it doesn't remove Brady because it's agents of the Commonwealth who had access to the video and knowledge of the videos beforehand. And as I read Brady, it's everyone connected to the case carries the Brady obligation.
Yeah.
And one of them is the chief of police. The other one is Trooper Proctor, who's the lead investigator. Those two are clearly connected to the case, and that would be a Brady violation.
Right.
This
so
isn't new, though, right? In this case specifically, there's been no chain of custody like we were talking about earlier. They were bagging blood droplets in Solo cups
Solo
for
cups.
crying out loud, right? The grocery bags that they had full of clothes or whatever the case was in the video. Like none of this, and correct me if I'm wrong, as the attorney, I would imagine that you would have a better concept of this than me, but that like any one of those things should be enough to get a case dismissed, let alone all 75,000 examples of terrible police conduct.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. So I'm going to go ahead, Brandi.
Oh no, I was just saying, yeah, I agree. I'm gonna shut my blinds real quick because it's I've got a glare on my computer. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll just run it through again because people have been very generous. I want to know why there's no pickup. I did that one. Please listen to my 1-point defense need. John's blood was on top of the snow. They're done right. No, because you can explain that and say, well, the third team was shoveling through and they were doing CPR, and that could be new blood, and it'll be. It won't be enough.
And remember, he coughed up blood when they were doing CPR.
Yeah,
right?
Karen had blood around her mouth because she tried CPR. And for Martin, how much of the first trial have you watched, and when did you start following the Karen Reed case? And thank you, Baker, for a great panel.
Okay, so I watched every single minute of the first trial. I started covering Karen Reed's case, and by the way, if you look at my channel, I was covering a whole bunch of different cases first. I mean, my channel itself is only about a year and a half old at this point. So when I first started, I was just seeing what the high profile cases. I covered a YNW Melly case. I covered Michelle Troconis. I covered a whole bunch of cases. That Adelson right now is going on. It's very big. So I'm covering that also. So I started getting involved with the Karen Reed case just a little bit. Somebody like sent me an article or something about it, and I started reading about it. I was like, hey, this sounds a little interesting. And like, when you first hear about some of this stuff, some of these allegations, with these defense, oh, conspiracy. Yeah, I know. I've heard it 100 times. Like, yeah, the cops were all doing a bad job and ignoring certain pieces of evidence. I mean, these are the arguments that we all make. This is like, yeah, the investigation was garbage and garbage in, garbage out. I mean, like, this is like common, right? So, okay, I'm kind of like, taking it all with a grain of salt. And then I think it was one of the first filings that I was reading. Somebody sent me filings, and I was reading these filings, and I was like, wait a second. We got the defense here making a claim that one of the people, Jennifer Mccabe, Google, did this Google search at 2:27 in the morning. And I was like, okay, hold on a second. Well, you can't just argue that. Like, you can't just argue these things. Like, this is Celebrate. You can't argue that something's there that's not there. I'm like, okay, this is something. There's more here. So, ultimately, I think that issue got addressed well in trial, and I think that if you want to believe that she didn't do that search, you definitely have experts to hang your hat on. But that's what first started dragging me into this case, and then the more I started reading into this case. And it was just like, okay, there's a lot going on here, and it kind of just drags you in. And once I got dragged into the case, so I started covering this a couple months before the trial in January. I think was the first video in which we were talking about the buffer zone, which I thought was an interesting legal issue because it's a First Amendment. It's a First Amendment issue, and anytime that there's any sort of legal issue that has to do with the Constitution and amendments and rights, I always like to explain that to my channel. I want to explain what the law is about this guy. I think it's interesting. That's why I'm a lawyer. So, I was getting into the buffer zone argument, and then there was some other pre-trial motions I started, reading and Rule 14 motions, whatever it was. And then eventually, the trial started. And actually, the trial started right in the middle of a Jewish holiday, of course. And the second trial actually is going to start, if it still starts April 1st, it may be in the middle of a Jewish holiday also. So that kind of just, I had to play a lot of catch up. And eventually I did, which is why my first video on the Karen Reed case is actually day 1 through day 8 or something, like recap of, because I sat down, I literally put everything on double speed and I went through the first few days of trial, which I missed because of the Jewish holiday, and then I caught up. But I watched every single minute of that trial, and it was. And there's when lawyers are telling you that there's something different about this case, there's something different about this case. There's just something. There just is. Okay,
Yeah.
We're finding.
Yeah, that's the thing. Now I've seen 2 lawyers come out now saying, "Well, she's clearly guilty," and of course, we can't forget the greatest FBI agent since Hoover, Miss Caffey Daffy. And I trust her completely. But I've seen two lawyers. One of them started popping up 2 days ago and going full anti-Karen Reed. And I'm thinking, we know there's that FOIA where they found out that they had talked to Caffey Daffy to use her social reach to influence the case. I'm just thinking, are they starting to do the Amber Heard thing and paying people on YouTube now to try and drum up some?
It's interesting because I've been called this since I started. Like I'm covering these cases because I'd like to explain things and explain the law and get a lawyer's perspective. I've been in trials. I think it's just helpful to have someone to explain this to the masses that are actually interested in this stuff. So that's why I started initially. And it's funny because in the Adelson case, one of the first cases I was covering was Charlie Adelson. I don't know if you're aware of it. You aware of it, Brandi?
Yeah, I was there for that trial.
Oh,
I was in court. Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, very cool. Okay, I don't know. So I covered Charlie's case.
Brandy's been around it. She's the case goddess.
Yeah. So I mean, I was covering Charlie's case, and and what I do is I point out whatever every side that does something good or something like effective. So if there's a good line of cross-examination, I'll point that out. Now, even if it's not like popular, like for the Adelson case, right? I mean, everyone is basically on the Adelson side, on the Markell side.
Yeah.
Right. Everyone's on the Markell side, right? So if I would ever point out something that Dan Rashbaum did well, and I would say, I think this was effective. I think this was a good line. I think he, scored some points. I would get so much. Oh, you must be paid. Oh, the Adelsons must be paying you. You must be part of their PR team. And I was like, really? I mean, I maybe call me innocent, but I was just getting into this whole world. And I'm like, oh, really? Do people really do this? They really actually hire I guess social media influencers to try to present their side of the case and win over, that public relations in that way. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was, at first I was like, okay, one weird comment or whatever. But I kept seeing it more and more. I was like, okay, I guess people are on the lookout for these type of things, and I guess they don't really know. So
yeah, I think in some cases they do. Yeah.
Right. So
I don't know.
I know that. Go ahead.
I don't know if you know the Treehouse case out of Florida.
I didn't cover that case, and I know he represented himself, right, Brandi? You covered that.
I didn't cover that one, but yeah, I
I
got to see
covered
bits and
it.
Pieces.
And I've been covering it for 2-3 days, and then his wife started reaching out to come on my show, and I said no, because I don't want to be the little man in the corner like a recovery addict, where all of a sudden you're part of a case, because I don't know what she's gonna say, and I don't want to be messing up a case. And I think she was on Recovery Addict or called into Recovery Addict, but that was so weird that they are also using us now, because true crime is very popular. But
so I know that I think the prosecutors podcast, I think they were very anti Karen Reed. I did a few videos going through their analysis on it and why I don't buy it and why I disagree with it. So I did some videos on their podcast specifically with the Karen Reed. And then there was, and then I think, was it just Timpenik that just came out? It was Matt Timpenik. Is he the guy you're talking about?
Oh, I've seen him. Yeah, he's been around recently doing his. He's an attorney, right? I've seen some of his stuff, and he's very Karen is guilty.
Right. That's what seems like. Yeah, that's what seems like. Also, and again, I think he's starting also now. So I don't know if he's. I don't know anything about him. I saw one clip of video where he was talking about the motion to dismiss and playing everything down and saying that there's nothing here. It's very possible that Judge Cannone is not going to grant anything or do anything, even though I think evidence, and at least an evidentiary hearing is appropriate. But it could be that she'll rule that way. But there's definitely something here. There's definitely some very questionable activity here. I don't think any lawyer would look at this and say, yeah, this is just what you see in every case, or this is there's nothing to see here. This is a nothing burger. There's something here. whether Judge Cannone decides that this rises to a Brady level, or what she decides to do with it is her call. Most of the time, you don't get cases dismissed for Brady. You may have a mistrial, and then you have to try the case again. Like I explained a lot of this on my channel. Like even if you can identify a Brady violation, you're not going to get the case dismissed automatically.
No.
The knee jerk for a Brady is a mistrial, and then you have another trial with when they do turn over the Brady material.
Yeah,
so okay, so now everybody's on even ground. Now you can fight. It's going to be a fair trial. So
but
there's other parts of prosecutorial misconduct that can be a basis, or if you have in this situation where there's evidence that's lost because of misconduct or because prosecutor not doing their job, that's a problem that you can't correct with a new trial. You don't have that evidence. So
this is one of the things. There's a few questions. Thank you all for putting the red question mark. It's easier for me to see, but there's a lot of people asking about what we think will happen. I've said it. She'll deny it. She'll just say, I'll allow it. There's a few things. Will AJ lose his pro hoc vice, and will Betterow get it, or will she use that to say, well, you clearly can't handle pro hoc vice, so you can't have him on? I'm afraid she's gonna, because she is as biased as I think she is. She will try and kick AJ, even though there's nothing, in my opinion, the only Rule 14 violation I could see was he didn't turn over an email that was sent at 3:00 on a Sunday before 9 in the morning.
But here's
was addressed in court the next day.
The thing about the whole not sending the email thing, though, and I put this in the episode that I released yesterday. Here's my whole thing with the email. Okay, yes, it was a discovery violation technically, but the whole thing with the discovery violations is look at all the discovery violations from the Commonwealth, and when I'm looking at, okay, is this one of those discovery violations that really could affect the case and the outcome, or is this one that's just like, come on, bro, here we go again? So with this being a discovery violation, yes, they didn't turn it over, but this is not like he was like, oh, hey, send me an outline so that I know what to ask and we can practice our script. He sent that to him at 3 p.m. He was on the stand at 10:30 the next morning. This is during a trial. This is the crux of their defense, is that car did not hit John O'Keefe. You could tell by the way that he was questioning him during the voir dire that he's prepared for this. This is what he has been like. This was like that line of questioning was his Super Bowl. He's not waiting on somebody else to send him an outline. And Alessi even said that when you look at the outline that was sent and then you look at the line of questioning from when he was actually questioning him on the stand, it's not the same. You can tell that he didn't use that outline. So all of his oh, this would have been nice to have. Well, bruh, you had it when, we went through voir dire. So, and he even said every single thing that was in that outline came specifically from the report. So is that a discovery violation? Yes. In a perfect world, he would have sent those emails. But did it create any kind of prejudice to where it affected the case, or it affected, an even playing ground for the Commonwealth? No, it didn't. Like I truly don't believe that it did. And the whole thing with the outline, he made such a big deal about, and Bev's calling it a script. So you already know where she's going with this. She's calling it a script. So, but it is, how many times have we, that's a normal thing to have an outline for an expert, because if you have an expert who's there to explain things that a normal person doesn't understand, they also, especially one like that who they testify over and over and over in all these trials, they have stuff like that because it's like, look, this is my opinion. Here's the line of questioning to get me to get to the point where I can explain to you what I'm here to explain to you. So I think the analogy I used in the episode yesterday was, I think I said, it's like the attorney might know the destination and the expert is driving the train, but the outline just lets him know where to lay the track so that they can get them there to explain everything to the jury. It's not something that is like a discovery violation that all of a sudden changed the course of the trial. Everything that was in there was already from the report.
Right. So in terms of Alan Jackson, obviously preparing before that outline, not waiting for Dr. Wolf to write the outline, that's definitely true. Any lawyer who's going to, this is your winning witnesses, you're going to be very well prepared for them before they, take the stand. You're not waiting for them to prepare the outline for that. That's definitely true. The argument about, anything in their outline was in their reports, that could be true. The issue really here is, in terms of the Rule 14 violation, is not actually the outline itself. I don't think that the outline itself really is the big issue. I think the issue here is that what Hank Brennan's making the issue to be, which is a fair point. And again, this is a fair point for the prosecution, is that it shows collaboration. And since you're collaborating with the other side, it looks like you're working together to benefit your side. And therefore, you can't stand up here and make an argument to the jury that these people, we had no interaction with them at all. We just called them on the stand cold right now, and they objectively gave you their opinion, and we had nothing to do with them at all. You can't do that in good faith when you know that you were having some email correspondence and they were sending outlines and this is how we can do it. And I thought you did a fantastic job. And, so it's not the actual substance of the outline, which I see the issue here with, and which Judge Cannone is probably going to take issue with. It's the fact that they were collaborating. And even if they were not collaborating a lot, but it takes away from the argument that the defense is going to make to the jury that these are people that are just as pure as the snow, at fallen snow. Like, it's these people are just objective. We had nothing to do with them. We had no correspondence, no nothing. And it also would help the prosecution to make their argument to the jury saying these people, they may be good, they may be objective to a point, but there's definitely collaboration there with the defense. Yeah, there was outlines that they outlined the substance is basically what they would have testified, but that's all we see. We don't know if there's other phone calls that they made. We don't know anything else. So they definitely could have used that fact to argue to the jury that you see that they're working in tandem. They're working together and they're not just 100% objective. So that's where I see this becoming more of an issue or whatever. This is what I think that was really more Brennan's argument. And what's I think was probably bothering Judge Cannone more than the fact that what the outline actually says and whether Jackson followed the outline. It's just the fact that these emails are going back and forth and never turned over shows that there's an element, some sort of collaboration there. So that's really.
But again, it's one email.
And again, I don't. Just to be clear, I don't think it takes away from their credibility because
no.
Again, they did their reconstruction and everything before. So, they came to their opinions and wrote the reports before they even had one email with Alan Jackson. So I'm not saying that it takes away at all from their credibility. What I'm just saying is that it's still something that the prosecution could have used in their closing arguments and their arguments to the jury, and something that they could have, and Alan Jackson couldn't have stood up there and just said so straight face to the jury that they had, they're just so 100% objective and he had nothing to do with them. It's just that's all. That's what we're playing with. Yeah, go ahead, Baker. I'm sorry for that.
No, I'm just because I'm mindful. I only got you for an hour and we started a little late, but so I'm just keeping an eye on it. But it's one email, and you can say, yes, it could show some collaboration, but you also have, then the defense can fire back with, well, you clearly prepped Jen Mccabe to change her testimony again, and I don't think it's going to be. The biggest problem will be that Bev is biased. She won't rule fairly in this. She will hammer. I think she will sanction Jackson if she removes his pro hoc vitae. I don't know, but she will sanction him in some way. But she won't. I'm just. It infuriates me that in 2 years we have seen Lally lie repeatedly to Bev. He lied about when the lab people were looking at all the evidence when he was about to turn it over. He missed 2 court-ordered deadlines, and nothing happened. And then you have it's a little shady shade. We're gonna hide this one, and she flips like it's.
Yeah, I mean, I understand, and like that's part of what Alessi was trying to do to show that, look, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I mean, you're having a problem with Alan Jackson. Well, look at all the misrepresentations that Hank Brennan was making. That's obviously an argument that he's trying to make. And, he probably could have said Lally's doing the same thing, but, you still have to, it's not just enough to say, look, we're all doing it. Right now, your guy's on the hot seat.
Yeah.
And that's, they can try to bring up this issue with Brennan or Lally, but right now, Alan Jackson's on the hot seat. And I will say that the explanation given to Christina Rex's question and answer is not a good look. It just smells like, it's just not great. It's not great. And Judge Cannone can definitely say, you weren't really being 100% honest there. Your explanation that you didn't pay for testimony, you paid for time. You're kind of splitting straws there. So like I've said, and again, Alan Jackson is an amazing attorney. It's an attorney that Karen Reed is going to want on her side, but he got caught a little. He got a little sloppy, whatever you want to call it, and he didn't turn it over, and whatever. And maybe some representations that were made in court that had to be explained. And the more you try to explain things, the more it looks like you're maybe not being 100% honest, and you're on pro hoc vice, which means you're at the pleasure of the court. And she could, but again, it's a very tough decision because it's a criminal case. There is a Sixth Amendment right to the choice of counsel. It's a very, very delicate balancing act. And that's something that Alessi was 100% right about. In a civil case, I would say he's out. The judge wouldn't stand for this. You're playing around. You're saying things to the media, which now you're trying to explain away. Civil cases, I think would be a clearer shot. Criminal cases, not so simple because you got the Sixth Amendment staring you in the face. And this is as soon as you send Alan Jackson off the case, that's another basis for appeal. Mm-hmm. And what the court's going to do with it, nobody knows. But it's a much more of a delicate situation, and that's why even Judge Cannone, I'm not sure she's just going to right away throw him off the case. I think she has to be very, very measured and very careful what she's going to do with him. But
let me ask a dumb guy question real quick. Let's say that they had that email, right? They had that communication between Jackson and Arca, and they actually brought it up. If Lally actually started asking about payment methods and correspondence, etc., would that not then open the door and allow them to kind of go into who Arca is and what they're doing there?
No, not necessarily. No.
I mean,
okay. No, because not necessarily. No. Because the Judge Cannone has realized, and I think everyone has realized, that as if the jury would hear that the federal government hired these ARCA experts, that would be the end of the case. They wouldn't.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they would completely believe the ARCA experts. I think so.
And that's why I hope the federal case is over, because then they can remove the gag order on that one and just talk about it. Before you go, I have a question that I've talked to some of my chat about. Would you, well, I don't know if I can ask if you would, but would you go as hard on the third party culprit, or would you go harder on the science doesn't show he was hit by a car? Because I believe what made it hung the first time was this elaborate 7 weeks talking about snow and who was in Aruba and mm-hmm. Was it Colin, or did we listen to It's Raining Men? I think you lose the juror in that, and I think I would go hard. I would try and I wouldn't go as hard on the third party culprit defense at the second trial.
Well, I feel like I'm taking away some of the airtime from Brandi. I want to hear from Brandi.
I mean, well, I'm not an attorney. I just talk about attorneys on my podcast and my YouTube. But if it were me, I would not focus as much on the third party specifics. I think that giving a general idea of this is, there's something shady going on. All of these people are connected. Look at all of these weird things happening and look at the science. The car didn't hit him and all this stuff is going on. I think that making it a point of, we don't have to know what happened. You don't have to, like, as a jury, we're not trying to tell you this is what happened and they're trying to tell you that's what happened and you have to pick A or B. I think that puts a lot more pressure on a jury, or not on the jury, but it puts a lot more pressure on the defense's, presentation and their story, because it becomes less about they didn't prove their case and there is another reasonable explanation for what could have happened, and it becomes, okay, A or B, like which one do I pick? And I think that if it were me in all my years of law school, which is 0, I would go into it focusing more on the reasonable doubt part, the car not hitting him, and then introducing the fact that there are all of these, connections, and there is something fishy going on, and the investigation and all of that, but being a lot more vague about it so that you're not having to convince them of a full story.
Well, Brandi, you should have been a lawyer, because I completely agree with you. This is what I've been saying from day one, absolutely from day one, that the focus of the trial should be reasonable doubt. The focus of the trial should always be coming back to reasonable doubt. And you have to remind the jury. I mean, but I thought that this was an important part, that the jury should be reminded that they're not here to solve the case.
Mm-hmm.
They're not here to determine what exactly happened. I mean, this would be my approach. You're here as a jury to weigh and judge the Commonwealth's theory against the evidence. That's all they're supposed to do. If the Commonwealth's theory of this case is not supported by the evidence to a reasonable doubt, beyond a reasonable doubt, then it doesn't really matter what happened in this case. You don't have to solve this case. You're not here to solve the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
You're just here to decide whether the Commonwealth has proven their case beyond a reasonable doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And that should be the entire focus. And of course, like what you said, Brandi, bring up all that information, all the reasons that everyone's pointing that there's a conspiracy, all that information, all the destroying of the SIM cards in the military bases, and everybody missing the body and not seeing it, and all the time problems, and John's phone going up and down steps, and you definitely bring it all out. But don't say, and your ladies and gentlemen, that proves that there's a conspiracy here. No,
Mm-hmm.
ladies and gentlemen, that proves that we don't know what in the world is going on here.
Mm-hmm.
And the cops are too lazy and too protecting their own to do their job here. And that's why we don't know what happened in this case. I wish we did. But one thing that I can tell you is that the same way we don't know what happened, we don't know that Karen Reed did it either. And if you don't know that Karen Reed did it, then you have to acquit her.
Right.
So, yeah. And then, I mean, the only other issue that I'm having with this, I'm going to shift gears just a little bit, because I just saw the reply again on the federal habeas corpus appeal. And I can't, from the beginning of this appeal, I can't for the life of me understand why they're only asking to get charges 1 and charges 3 thrown out. If this mistrial was inappropriate and was improper, then that means that the entire case has double jeopardy attached to it. Yeah. All the charges that the mistrial attached to means that there's double jeopardy. So which means charges 1, charges 2, and charges 3. Mm-hmm. And I've been trying to, I've explained this from day one also, when they were starting to talk about this motion, to dismiss and the appeals after the trial, based on double jeopardy. It was why you guys limiting it to charge 1 and charge 3? It's again, and there's 2 different arguments here. But if you're going on that there's no manifest necessity, well, then there's no manifest necessity to declare mistrial for all of the charges. There's no opportunity to be heard or careful consideration given to the alternatives for all the charges. And if that wasn't done, then all the charges deserve to be dismissed. But whatever. I don't have a line to Marty Weinberg, so I can't tell him to take my advice on that. But that's just another thing that happened this week about this federal. Because are they arguing it March 5th? Are they arguing Brandi then?
Wednesday they will be in federal court at 9, I believe it was, and then go back to Bev, because I won't keep you away from another trial. I just can't have her condescending tone. It's condescending. Sorry. She's and her.
It's gonna be a big week. It's gonna be a big week.
Yeah, and all of her.
Is that? I don't even know if that's going to be live streamed. Is the oral argument in the federal case going to be? No, probably not.
No,
federal case
stuff never gets live streamed.
Right, and it's oral argument, right? It's the oral argument's going to happen March 5th, right?
Yeah.
Well, they already went before the SJC to argue to get it. Now they are suing to get it tossed out. They went to the SJC, and now they're appealing the SJC to the federal court. But I don't know if that's good. They're all going to go there, so probably motion. And Boston Terror says, I agree, brother counsel. Defense needs to kiss. Keep it simple, snoop it. This time, less is more. Love this panel. Thank you so much. I agree. I've kept you for an hour now. If you want to bow out,
I'm happy to say if there's any other questions, if you want to discuss.
Just the super chats is more general that we probably We have Brandi on. She knows everything.
Say that again. I want to get a screen grab of that. Say it louder.
Just to kind of talk about Jennifer Mccabe's situation, because this is also brought up in the motion, and I think we have to understand again, what the focus here is that, so you have Jennifer Mccabe who conveniently left out the fact that she went to Sergeant Lang's house, right? So then eventually they got that the defense got the location data, and for some reason in Massachusetts, the way every time I say this, I always have to laugh. But sometimes the reason why it works in Massachusetts, the way it works in Massachusetts is that you have to turn over your impeachment material that you have on the other side's witnesses. Okay, so the other side didn't do their homework on their witnesses. You did your homework on their witnesses. You've got some great material to cross-examine them with. You've got to turn that over to the Commonwealth if there is an order about that. And there was an order in this case. If there's, a motion and an order. So the defense now gets this location data that they're going to impeach, Jennifer Mccabe on the stand with. So they have to turn it over. So they turned it over, right? Now they turn it over. Jennifer Mccabe gets called to the police station to meet with Lally or whatever his office is. And they're obviously going over this impeachment material. What are you going to do about this? And they come up with some explanation, right? So now this is still before she testifies. Okay, so now she testifies. The defense didn't know that they got together about that, but up until now, everything's fine. By the way, you're allowed to meet with your witnesses. You're allowed to prepare them for cross-examination. No one's doing anything wrong just yet. But yeah, so they meet, and she has her testimony, and during the testimony, they don't, they bring up an open-ended question about it, and she right away dispels, says, oh yeah, I stopped by Michael Lang because Kerry Roberts' daughter's friends. Yeah. So it was all just very casual, nothing really to see there. So she was obviously prepared for that. But there's really nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with what just happened. That's what you have to do in Massachusetts. That's what you're stuck doing. But the issue becomes where, who was it? Tully. Tully was part of that meeting, like Lieutenant Tully. And that's when Jennifer Mccabe told him about where she really was. That she stopped by Michael Lang. She totally forgot. Oh my gosh, I forgot to tell him this. Forgot to tell anybody that. So Lieutenant Tully then goes and writes a report, but the report that he writes is 20 days after that meeting. About 20 days after. I think the meeting was May 10th. He wrote the report May 29th. They turn it over to the defense June 4th. Now, it was before Lieutenant Tully testified, but it was after Jennifer Mccabe testified. Okay, so now what? Well, when it was brought up in court, so Alan Jackson said he already did the damage on Jennifer Mccabe. He doesn't need to recall her. Okay, so, whether you can argue that he didn't have the benefit of knowing about this meeting and knowing about this report before the cross-examination, he could have called her back. Okay, you can make some arguments about that. But what I want to know, what I would focus on if I was the defense in this hearing, one of the issues if it ever gets an evidentiary hearing is why did Tully wait 19 days to write that report? Mm-hmm. Why did when somebody you've got a witness who's a material witness, an extremely material witness, comes in and all of a sudden gives you some more information on a case that you've never heard before, she's never said ever before. She explains it. Don't you think that you should right away after that meeting say, I better write this down. This is new information on this case. Mm-hmm. And then immediately hand that over to the defense. Not wait. Yeah. So he waited 19 days to write that report and then turn it over. That's where I'm starting to see, hey, this smells like misconduct. This smells like you're up to no good. Now, whether, they can prepare Jennifer Mccabe. They're allowed to do that under Massachusetts law. They're allowed to do that. But what about Lieutenant Tully's actions? Why did he wait 19 days? I want to know. I want to get to the bottom of that. What took 19 days?
But also, I have questions about that meeting too, because she said, so when she said the thing to him about going to lengths, he said, have you talked to anybody else about that? And she said, yeah, I was at a, meeting with the district attorney's office. So the whole talk of the meeting got started because he said, tell me about where you talked about this before. So she starts saying that it was, it was Lally there, and it was McLaughlin, and it was Steve Nelson. And so she goes through this list, and he's like, oh, it's a big meeting. She's like, oh, it wasn't that big. And then she says she took her daughter, Allie. So that's what she says as she's explaining where she talked about this to. And then she said it was Tully who said something to her about it. Then the story changes to, well, it was a different time. It was just Tully was there. Lally wasn't there. It was just Tully. And in Tully's report, Tully said that it was her and Matt Mccabe who came up there and met with him. So the whole thing about that is...
And that they wanted to see the video of her and Matt from the cruiser cam.
The dash cam.
Yeah, the dash cam. Have you seen that video?
No. Mm-mm. I haven't seen him on any dash cam video.
No, because he was back home sleeping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's another thing. Who comes in and says, I want the 911 call played again so I can remember what I say. I want to see the video of me and Matt on the dash cam because we saw her running around. And if she saw that video, why did she make that lie about Karen Reed's period ask her to in the back of the car? That was such a weird line. Yeah. I never really figured out how she tried to get away with it. We can see her on dash cam. She's not inside the car with Karen Reed.
Yeah.
When she's Googling allegedly in the morning. It's such a weird line of
yeah.
But what were you about to say?
Sorry, I just remembered the 911 call and dash cam. Sorry.
Because she specifically asked about she wanted to see the discovery against her or whatever. And I'm like, again, that's such a strange thing to want to go in and ask.
If you want to make sure your story checks out.
Yeah, I mean, you want to know how you're going to get attacked in cross-examination. I mean, it's I tell my clients, I tell my witnesses, they may attack you this way, they may attack you that way. A good lawyer will be able to make even the most honest person look like they're hiding some information. So you always want your witnesses to be prepared. I mean, like I said, I think it's okay. The fact that they met, there's no smoking gun there to me. I think that's fine. I want to know really what, if you saw that supplemental report, there's like 3 sentences. What took him 20 days to write 3 sentences in a report and then only then turn it over? That to me is more concerning than anything else about that meeting and Alan Jackson then deciding not to call her back and ask her questions about that. It's more about, there's smells like there's some sort of misconduct, so like I've explaining about this motion to dismiss, right? There's a few different bases. There's Brady, which is analyzed under one type of legal analysis. There's Rule 14. There's a discovery order. There's a court order. And then there's also prosecutorial or governmental misconduct. Mm-hmm. And that's really the one where you can win a dismissal on. If you can show misconduct, if you can show willful ignorance, if you can show that the prosecution had no interest at all in preserving that Sallyport video for one reason or the next, that's where you start to see, okay, there may be misconduct. And because of that misconduct, how can we ever be confident, like Hank Brennan said, how can we ever be confident that you're actually getting the videos that you're supposed to be getting or all the videos? And who knows what we're going to find in another year.
Yeah, that's another thing. They found that video and it took them almost 2 weeks to turn that over as well. And some of the videos, it's funny because in the response they say, some of the videos are just really, really poor quality. Yeah. And consistent, like the January 2025 video that was just discovered, such poor quality, consistent with all the other videos. Well, what about that inverted video? That was pretty good quality. Well, wouldn't you agree with me? That was pretty good quality, wasn't it? Yeah. So that video was good quality. Well, so how is it that one video is good quality, but all the other videos are not good quality? How does
one that was very clearly manipulated?
And then he said it was automatically set. The camera settings were automatically set to invert all videos. So how are we ever going to get the answer to these questions? Who set up that camera? Who set up the video that it's automatically going to be inverted? I mean, which clown was doing that? And this isn't just some person trying to install on their own do-it-yourself project at home, trying to install a camera and they did. And this is a police station. It's important to get things accurately here, right? Yeah. And you're still having some guy like that. Oh yeah, all the videos are inverted. Most of them are just grainy and terrible, and then there's one clear one. So it's I think the only fair way to get to the bottom of all this is to have an evidentiary hearing and figure all this stuff out.
Yeah.
You know, so.
But
Yeah.
also, how did they get the video that they turned over? She went in. Rafferty went in August after the trial and made copies of this video from 2022. But how did she do that if it deletes after 30 days? And so, that means that either they're lying about it deleting after 30 days, or they're in possession of all these things that they're still, not telling. And I think that either way, that's really messed up, and it's really fishy.
Well, how many other detectives' cloud accounts or computers are videos going to be discovered on? And is it going to be too late at that point?
Yeah.
And they put it in that they have it on the system, the police's system. But Brendan told us in trial, no, it's in an iCloud, and now it's in a paper file. I think
that was a different video.
But all the videos were stored on that retired officer's iCloud. So you're watching Bluey, and then you're watching Sallyport videos, and then you're watching wedding pictures on your iPod. Because who doesn't keep work videos in their iPhone account? That's iAccount. It's just so weird that again, at what point would a normal person say this is just too stupid to say in court?
Right.
I know why they're laughing.
A lot of people say a lot of stupid things in court.
Yeah, but normally they are the defendant.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's why, when you have issues like this is what you need. You need an evidentiary hearing. I have evidentiary hearings coming up on just one issue that's coming up in a case where we're not getting a clear answer on, and the judge is like, okay, well, we're not going to play these games where you're telling me one thing, the other attorney's going to tell me another thing. We're going to have somebody come. We're going to have some people under oath, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. That's what you need to do. In this type of situation, this is not like, okay, go to trial and you'll cross-examine all the video texts in the police department. Like that, you can't do a trial like that. We got to get to who's doing what. We're not getting answers, and it's getting late in the game. Get them to court, put them under oath. We're going to figure this out now. And then once we know what's going on, okay, maybe they have a good excuse why whoever installed the video system did it in a way that everything's always inverted. And only one video out of 10 are going to be clear.
Isn't that why they were asking for the metadata though? Because that would prove exactly where these videos came from.
Yeah, again, I'm not a tech expert, but that's what I would imagine. I would imagine that the tech data would show, all the metadata would show all this stuff, and we'd get a lot of better answers. And there you go again. Is that another thing that you're never going to recover because they didn't download it in a forensically sound way? And
because now any metadata that comes from it will come from where it's been. I mean, depending on how they did it. If it wasn't done properly, then any metadata that's associated with it is going to come from only what it is. Like, how if you take a screenshot on your phone of a picture that's from your camera roll from 2 years ago, if you look at the picture from 2 years ago, that metadata will be different than the metadata from the screenshot. So if it's not copied the same way or the right way, then the metadata won't be from whatever, and then you have no record of who touched it, when they touched it, how long they had it, nothing. So
which is another example of just terrible investigation at the very least in this case. It just keeps adding up. There's just so much of it. It drives me nuts.
I hope that if nothing else comes from this, it has put enough spotlight on their bullshit in order to put enough spotlight on their issues so that they can make these changes and be like, look, we don't want another situation where they're all like we're the laughing stock of the entire nation, much less worldwide. So maybe let's not use solo cups anymore. Maybe let's have a chain of command for evidence. One of the things that's so interesting to me too is I'll do these FOIA requests to get like police reports, right? Or not police reports, but the case files and stuff. Going through those, the Letitia Stout one's perfect example. The Letitia Stout case, every single, and that one's over 1,000 pages that I'm going through. And some of those reports are just, I picked up this piece of evidence, I carried it, I had it in my possession for, 20 minutes while I took it over here and carried it. But there's such a specific documented chain of custody for all of these different things that, you know, even just some of the smallest evidence. And it's in a good case file, it's so meticulous about it. And this one, they're like, oh, I don't know, didn't he have something on his computer? I don't know. Didn't you have well, I got a Sallyport clip over here. I got one from over there. I got one on a thumb drive. I got one on, you know, like, just, they're coming from everywhere, and nobody knows. Nobody knows where they came from.
Yeah. And well, and
Just,
then you
just paid for the swear jar.
Sorry. Sorry.
and then you got a couple of months before the you know, everything gets sent to the lab, right? I mean, there's Algernon O'Keefe's clothing sitting there. So yeah, I mean, chain of custody, like these are pretty basic, you know, in police investigation. So
we were just watching a trial with a guy who unalived a woman because of some paternity case and some CP. And they had, because they were actually saying, well, the DNA couldn't be from him. They had that thing where they had one person come up, testify, I did the nail scraping. Yeah. Another one, I took the envelope and brought it to this lab. I took it out and I opened the envelope. They had 5 people testifying how they did a DNA search. And then he admitted that, yeah, I stabulated her 32 times. So
something like that. 26.
Well, she needed a little stabulation. She had a lot of CP on her computer, and that wasn't a good case. But that's so weird. But I want to let the brother Counsel go, because he has been more than generous with the time we had agreed upon before meeting, and I hope that we can do it again, because the problem with these panel shows, we always get into a good discussion and never really get to all the questions that I actually did my homework, and we haven't. The last thing I will ask you before you get to grift your way out of here, will the ground hardness expert be admitted?
No.
So I actually did a video on that motion, and it appears to me there's a very strong argument to be made that he should not be admitted. A meteorologist is someone who can talk about weather patterns, precipitation, snow, temperatures, but hardness of ground seems to be a different expertise. And also, again, a point that I made that I think that the defense did not mention in the motion, and they absolutely should open their argument with this, is the fact that there is no case that I found in Massachusetts that allows a meteorologist to talk and opine about the hardness of the ground. Okay, now that may sound like not exciting to you, but in court, when you don't have a legal authority for the proposition that you're seeking, you're up a creek. And there's, from the cases that I saw, the only time that they allow meteorologists to testify is about how cold the ground was the water freezing, was the, you know, how much snow fell, what were the weather patterns like, you know, like that type of stuff, not about the hardness of the ground. I haven't seen it. So I would like to see, if I was the defense, I'd like to see them get up and say, you know, Your Honor, meteorologists are wonderful people. I listen to the news and the weather myself, but there's just simply no case in Massachusetts that allows them and that gives Your Honor the authority to allow him to testify about the hardness of the ground. And, you know, so that's I think so they have a strong basis. Now, what Judge Cannone is going to do is anyone's guess, but I think they have a strong legal basis to have that meteorologist not admitted.
Especially based on the Carolyn Tyler case with the paint drying expert. Because that got kicked down because they had a guy who testified about changing color of paint drying.
I'm remembering that case. Well, when was that case brought up?
I covered it last year, but I think it started in
third time around, right?
It was the fourth trial. Was in
2011 or 2014.
There was actually a case in the Karen Reed case that, I mean, they cited to a case.
The Carolyn Tyler, because they had she got hung jury. I think hung jury.
The first two.
Then she got convicted for life in prison on the basis of a guy who said that the paint the victim was in is the same
Right.
you paint your ceiling with, that changes color after X amount of
Oh
time.
yeah. So this is the Rentala case. Yeah. So
Yeah.
So this was brought up on by the Daubert hearings, right?
Yeah.
This was the
Yeah.
case that was argued by Daubert. Yeah.
Fascinating case. I believe she was also innocently convicted, but it was one of the first cases I covered. So that was fun to see that mentioned.
I even know that you covered that case. I mean, I just read it as an opinion, like as an opinion about Daubert, about experts. So
Yeah.
Rosemary,
Scapiccio.
I love her. She's amazing. She represented her in her 4th trial. She did a good job, but
Yeah, but she apparently is connected to Bev in some way. So because I've said getting her on the team, she doesn't need to be pro Hawk. So that could be fun because she's all the things you think about Boston. Loud, in your face.
Boston.
yeah.
And with the,
What was it she kept saying during that trial? She said something about going to Walmart, and I was like, oh my God, I love the accent. And then she said, the guy, the boyfriend or whatever,
the corner kisser.
how did she say, what was his name? I don't know. Anyway, her Boston accent was like, I love it. I love an accent. So it was funny. I can't remember the name she kept saying. Mark.
Yeah, Mark. And she had another thing where we were, what? I have a slight accent, but I couldn't understand her.
Well, you know what I keep hearing in my mind over and over and over again? The way that Brennan says methodology. Like he kept saying that with Dr. Russell, methodology. I was like, how am I ever going to forget about that?
And instead of nefarious isn't.
Is that what he says?
There's nothing nefarious going on here. And I was like, well, is there anything nefarious? I don't know. Is it the same?
Word games at their finest.
I know. That's just me being petty Betty though, because I don't like him. I'm not a fan. I'm not very.
I know a lot of people aren't
fan.
fans, and I keep saying this because I'm honest. He's a good lawyer. Okay, you're watching a good lawyer. Now, you don't like his position. I know a lot of people don't like his position, but if you're talking about if he does a good job as a lawyer, you can definitely see that he's a good lawyer and he's effective. I know people don't like him, but he's good. That's why they're hiring him. They're hiring him because my opinion is that he's probably better than anybody that they have there at the DA's office. Okay, that's just my opinion. A lot of times when you have a case like this, you got to go to the private defense counsel and then hire them to do the type of prosecutions. You saw that with Alec Baldwin. They got Kerry Morrissey. So he knows his way around the courtroom. His arguments are very strong. And, again, I know that people don't like him, but I'm just telling you from what I saw from day one, he is a very good lawyer. And the difference between this trial and last trial is already notable from the pretrial work, but you're going to see also difference in actual trial practice itself. So you're going to have very good lawyers facing off against each other. So it's going to be interesting to watch just in terms of the lawyering. Okay. So I just want to, as much as I know people like to hate on him, but he happens to be a very good lawyer.
I like to hate on him. Here's my thing though.
Same. Same.
I do not doubt that he is an effective lawyer. My problem with him is that he is not a defense attorney right now. He is a prosecutor. And I feel like, and this is just my own thing, he may be effective, but it's not his position that bothers me. It's his methodology, the way that he does things. I don't like the way that he goes about trying to get his stuff to happen. He is prosecuting this the way that a defense attorney would be, like, working on a defense case. I think that his ethical obligations should be to truth and justice and the right thing happening. And it seems like he's prosecuting this in a way that, like, he's going to do whatever he can to try to get what he wants to happen instead of focusing on doing what he's supposed to do to get things like just some of the misrepresentations and the way that he intentionally leaves things off. And I don't think that he intentionally said last week, because I don't think that anybody would want to be as humiliated to be like, oh, my bad. I said it came from the feds, but it was really the defense. I don't think that he did that part on purpose. But there are things that I do think that he has done. There's a lot of things that I think he's done on purpose in order to mislead. Even when he quoted my podcast, I got so mad because the part that he quoted was only the part that he was like trying to mislead, Dr. Russell on, and he didn't give the rest of it. I think that he's very sneaky and effective, yes, but he's sneaky, and I don't like seeing that in a prosecutor.
Yeah, I would agree. I think in general that man will do or say whatever it takes to get the line crossed, right? To get across the line. I don't think he should ever be in a position of authority, and that's just my humble opinion. I don't think that man should have any sort of authority ever.
I think as a defense attorney, I would feel different because I would be like, well, your obligation is to your client. And I get that, defense attorneys, like I get.
Yeah, I mean, you have to make, if you're going to prosecute this case, you have to have a moment of where you say, should I be prosecuting this case or should I not be? And the contract is enticing. Seems like that. I mean, it seems like he's going to be paid a lot of money to do this.
Getting more and more enticing by the day, too.
I mean, I heard that initially he was going to get 75. Now it's going to be like 225. I mean, he's it seems like he's working extremely hard on this case. He's filing motions right and left. He's trying to strike all the witnesses and all their experts. I mean, he's really trying his best to win this case. Mm-hmm. But the first question that you have to make if you're going to prosecute a case is you have to look at all the evidence and say, do I really believe that I should be prosecuting this case? And he's made that decision. So that's where I think a lot of people are having issues with in the first place. Like, how do you make that decision on this type of case with this type of facts? Like, do you really, really believe what you're saying? Do you really believe it, or are you doing this, for other reasons? So that's, and I'm not going to comment on, whether he, his ethical obligations or whatever. Like, I don't appreciate when lawyers talk about my, whether I'm acting ethically or not, but that's the first thing. That's the first hurdle that you have to overcome in order to take a case like this. And he's made a decision very clearly about that part. And then he's approaching it as extremely aggressive. He really is trying his hardest to win this case. And it seems like he's going to do whatever it takes to try to win. Which, like you said, like Brandi, I get you that like when the defense attorney is like, you are trying to figure out where in the world am I going to make a case out of this? How am I going to make a defense out of this case? And that's why you started attacking things right and left, and you blow everything up, and maybe even slightly try to sway the judge, in one way that may not be 100%, representing everything accurately. But I kind of get your point, Brandi, about, taking a defense attorney's mindset and plugging it into a prosecution, which is not what you really want to see.
Yeah.
But do you think, because I've been thinking that when I see all of his misstatements, is it because he didn't do his homework or because his team isn't feeding him? I have a suspicion that his team isn't giving him 100% corroboration.
I have to believe that before he took the case, he watched the trial.
He said he never watched it. He said that.
Well, whatever. Read the transcript. No, then he read the transcript.
No, he said he didn't read the transcript. After
he said he read it, and then he said he didn't read it, and he's.
Oh, I thought he said he read the transcript. Okay, I thought he said
he did. He just walked
recently. Recently.
He amended his statement.
Again, I mean, so he had to. I mean, he's had to. I don't know what he reviewed. I mean, I don't know what he reviewed. There's a lot. There's a lot to review in this case, and I don't know what he reviewed before deciding to take on the job.
Yeah.
But okay.
But now I'll let you.
I don't want to speculate.
No, but I'm gonna give you the floor so you can grift a little bit on your way out. And thank you so much for all the generous time you went over the 1 hour mark. But
no problem, Baker. Do I have the floor now?
Yeah, you it's time to do the grift. You are the OG grifter now.
Well, I'm not the OG grifter. I just I really felt that it was important to get this peer-reviewed study that was accepted by the scientific community and the legal community out there. And that's why I developed this grifter test, which Baker, I understand that you took, and I think Brandi should take it also, and also do a podcast about it. So, it's important. I mean, you have to know, because you get into this case, you say one thing, and if the thing isn't Karen Read is a bloody killer, and then you're absolutely grifting. That's how it works. That's what I'm learning, how it works in this world. That's what it is. But I appreciate you bringing me on, Baker. And it was a nice conversation. I think there's so much that's going to be going on in this case. I know people are. I'm having trouble keeping up, because one of the questions that I got asked recently is that I used to cover a lot of cases, but recently it's been Karen Read, and everyone's like, are you going to cover anything else ever again? I'm like, I'd like to, but they're keeping me so busy here, with all these motions and hearings and everything. And it's a case that I don't want to, I think Karen Read herself said some sort of comment that, if you fall behind one day on this case, you are playing catch up for the next week. And it's true, because at least at this point, there was a certain point where leading it up, that there wasn't as many filings, and you get a filing here and there, and then you'd be able to read it and then discuss it and then move on to a different case, like the Adelson case or something. But recently it's been every single day. There's the appeal, now there's the federal appeal, and then you get all these motions, and you have these hearings, and now we may be headed for Daubert hearings now because of the defense's motions that are challenging the Commonwealth's experts. So we might have a Daubert hearing on Crosby and some of the other experts, the meteorologist expert maybe, or something. So this case is just really, really keeping everybody busy, and it's so intriguing. It's really, really interesting from a legal perspective as well as a factual perspective, and it's really hard to move away and not fall behind, especially these days. And as the trial is coming up, which is in less than a month, you got to be all ready. So as soon as I get a break in the Karen Read stuff, I'll be able to cover some other stuff. And by the way, I also have a law practice, so it's not like I'm just doing this all day. I've got clients that I got to take care of. I got filings I got to file. I got hearings that I have to go to and appear on. So it's been a little tough, but this case is so unique. It's so unbelievably unique, this case, and it's really pulling me in. And I think it's probably done that to a lot of people, that you start just taking a look at it, and then you have this question, you do more digging, you have this question, that question, you want to read more, and then you watch the trial, and then it's before you know it, you're just completely enmeshed in everything that's going on in this case. And there's a lot to keep in mind. There's a lot of moving parts, and if you dare say ever one thing that that you don't remember 100% accuracy, then you get called out for it, and everyone's attacking you, oh, how can you mess up that fact or something. So it's very interesting covering this case. I got to tell you, I plan on doing it. I plan on covering the trial and all the future motions. These are great attorneys. You're going to have, it's a great show just in terms of watching the attorneys on these cases and reading their filings, by the way, which I enjoy. I know people talking about the snark. I appreciate the snark. I like the snark. I like, I like it from Hank Brennan, and I like it from Robert Alessi. Robert Alessi writes in such a unique way. You've got to really I like snark because I inject it into my writings, my briefs. I inject my snark because it's just my personality. If I find something, I'm just gonna attack the other person and just call them out and be sarcastic, and so I really appreciate Alessi snark. I appreciate Brendan snark, and but that's something that you also sometimes see, a certain personality. Jackson less so. Jackson's not as snarky, he's not as sarcastic, but he's so polished, he's so effective, he's so articulate, and Yannetti, it's just a pleasure to watch. I shouldn't say this as entertainment because someone's life is on the line, but it's really great to see good lawyering. And sometimes I'm watching trials and I'll be analyzing trials and I'll be I don't know what that guy was thinking. I don't know what he was doing or things like that. And I'll point out certain things a mistake or something that was made or something that I would have done different in a filing or an argument, whatever. I'll do that even on this case. It's hard to see when you're knee deep in all this stuff and you're trying to write briefs and at the same time prepare for trial and strategize and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm not calling anybody out. I'm just pointing things out that would make things better. The meteorologist point, like I think in that brief, to put in the brief that there's no case law. There is no case law in Massachusetts that allows a meteorologist. That's a powerful line. You want that in your brief. Hopefully they'll argue it. But it's just things that I noticed, that I point out, that I think people are interested in, and that's kind of what I created my whole channel for. So I guess that's my long-winded way of saying thank you to Baker. And if everyone has the opportunity to subscribe to Brother Counsel, and definitely subscribe to Brandi. She may know this case better than I do, and she may be a better lawyer than I am. But yeah, I hope to be back, and we hope to see you on my channel as well. So thank you very much.
Thank
You're
you.
muted.
I did this to not interrupt when I coughed, but I have to say thank you, of course, for joining us. And we all have had quite a Better crisis after he got attached to the case, because he was the normal guy that we would get on and talk all of this stuff with. And finally, we find someone new we can reach out to and say, hey.
Yeah, well, something funny. I know I keep talking, but maybe I should shut up. But I was supposed to go on a show with Bettero right before that motion was filed. We were slated to go on a show together. It was going to be the first time we were going on a show together. A lot of people were asking for us to go on a show together, myself and Bettero, and some people were asking, some other lawyers and myself to get on the show together. But Bettero was like a consistent ask. And eventually we had it set up. We were going to go on a show together, and he canceled like a week before and didn't leave any sort of indication why. And then we got the motion, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's why.
All of a sudden, Bettero just can't answer emails anymore, can't answer DMs anymore, because he's all involved in this legal thing. Ugh.
Yeah, exactly. So he's not available.
I actually DM'd him the night before and said, hey, can we do a show tomorrow after the hearing, because it looks spicy. And the first thing was, we want to file a motion to attach it. So, that's a reason why I didn't, because I was like, I know you've been busy with sport and the kids, and but if you find 5 minutes, I would love to talk to you. Well, but now we have some new lawyers we can reach out to, and that's wonderful. Thank you so much. And
absolutely.
Thank you so much for being so generous with your time, even though my curling iron got stuck in the beginning.
It happens. I know.
Pleasure to meet you, Brother Counsel.
Okay, thank you.
To meet you.
Are you hanging out, Brandi, while we do the super chats, or are you jumping off and getting your power nap?
I am about to take my power nap. I am exhausted, y'all. I worked, so the episode I did last week, because there was so much happening, was like an hour and a half. So it was like really like 2 episodes in one. And then I drove, well, I didn't drive. I was a passenger princess, but I rode here, like a 5.5 hour trips from Orlando. So I'm like this.
Zach has a super chat for you. And Brandi, if you ever give Valhalla a wrench, I'll never forgive you.
I'm playing hard to get. He's not getting a wrench yet.
It's been almost a year, Brandi. It's about time. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well,
Zach, you stay out of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go take my power nap. Now that I remember what time zone I'm in, I'm gonna go take my power nap.
Then it's your time to plug yourself.
Well, I have the podcast. It's 13th Juror Podcast. The entire second season is all conspiracy in Canton. It's all I just released yesterday was episode 40, so that's available anywhere you get podcasts. And then of course the YouTube channel, Brandi, youtube.com/Brady @Brandi, however that works. Brandi Churchwell. Brandi Churchwell's the name.
Will you be streaming from home this week?
Yes, I will be here. I am going to be here for the next week and a half. And then I'm going to be gone. I'm going to the Keys and to Miami for a few days. I'm trying to get as much rest and relaxation in as I can before this trial starts. So, but I'll be here streaming from here this week. So you will have dog cam. I'll have Lucy cam up for everybody.
Outstanding.
So
it's good to see you.
I do it all the time when I go offline, because I think I don't want to be disturbing. But no, it's gonna be a mess. And I just booked my tickets for my next trip to the States, and that's already in June. So I'm afraid if they get this, I wanted to ask about the scheduling and all this stuff. But last time it was week 6 or something in the trial. I was sitting next to Valhalla while Marissa took the case. So that's I'm afraid it's gonna go until June or something because it keeps getting punted. And if AJ gets tossed, there will probably be an appeal that can tie it up for some time as well. So, whee.
Yeah. When June what?
2nd till 8th. We are doing
Are you coming up here?
Dollywood on the 5th of
5th.
June. And
You should
6th
come
for
up
the
here.
live show.
You should come up here on the 5th and or 6th. That's a
I might-
Thursday, Friday.
I might try to do that. I'll see.
You should.
I'll see where I'm at because I have a little bit of a break. The first week of June, I have
Perfect.
so depending on the trial, so I might be able to.
So, chat, for those that don't know what we're talking about, this will be the 2nd annual Dollywood field trip. We do a Dollywood day. We do a little day at the park, meet and greet type thing. Come join us if you're in the area, if you can make it. We spend all day at Dollywood on the Thursday, and then Friday we'll do a live FNL somewhere. I'm not sure where we're doing it this year. I don't know if it's the same place as last year or not, but there'll be several different meetups in that 2-3 day period, the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 4th, 5th, and 6th of June.
No. We did it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah,
That's right.
Because I'm flying home on Sunday, so you're not getting me drunk again.
Yes, I will. Yes, I will.
Well, I'm
You're
flying
gonna be in
home.
Tennessee. You're
He's
gonna get
be
drunk.
He's
Yeah,
gonna be drunk.
don't nobody go to Tennessee and don't get drunk. So don't even try
They
that.
didn't serve me beer last time.
I'll bring beer with me. You can drink it on the truck on the way home.
Yeah, I'm going to sit
that's
out in the
legal
truck while you're in the arcade where they won't serve me.
See, I don't drink beer in Tennessee. I drink moonshine. And you
We got
gotta
that
do.
too.
Yeah, you gotta
We got that too.
gotta have moonshine in Tennessee. So, all right, y'all. I appreciate it. Sorry I was late. My bad. Sorry.
No,
Love
it's
you,
always
Brandi.
wonderful to see you. And everyone wants to know what your big project is, but you're probably going to keep that under wraps a little bit longer.
I can't say what case it is. Yeah, I'm working on a documentary series. I signed on to be a developmental producer for a documentary series on one of the cases that I covered. I just can't say which case yet. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Outstanding.
So you'll be
But
seeing me.
you have the skill because you do the stuff. You have that mind where you see all the very minute details and can put them into the meme with all the red lines. You can connect all of it.
Yeah.
I have the gift of the gab. I can yak about nothing for 2 hours, but I'm just lost in all these details. That's why it's wonderful to be able to draw people in on these panel shows because we can't know everything, all of us, and it's so nice to get updated.
Yeah. It's cool too because everybody's minds work so differently. So it's always cool when you have a big group following cases like this because there are always going to be people that pick up on things that that you're not going to pick up on because everybody sees things differently and picks up on different details and so I enjoy that. So it's interesting. But all right, y'all. I love you so much. I will see y'all.
Miss ya.
I miss y'all too. I will see you soon, and we should get together like some amount of time, like the end of next week, if we're not like crazy after all of this, and kind of
I'm trying
unpack
to
everything that happens.
I'm trying to tell my booker to maybe see if we can line up something next Sunday because I have a Danish meetup. Jamie and Iris is flying over from the States to meet me in Copenhagen, but I'll be home next Sunday at the same time, maybe if it's possible. I'll get my people to get in touch with your people.
Okay, sounds good. All right, bye, y'all.
Bye. Thank you so much.
The great Brandi Churchwell, ladies and gentlemen. She's amazing.
She's such a sweetheart.
I love her to death.
It could be amazing to meet her in person.
Oh yeah, I hope she makes it. That'll be a blast.
But let's run through the super chats and see if you and I can help people a little bit too. Hey, tell Miss Madam Mediocre and her Navy SEAL husband and their 7 kids and their 13 dogs and cat and Alice Demangi Mutt howdy from Texas. I think that might have been to Brandi.
I think so.
And Christine has been a member for 16 months.
Hi, Christine.
And Special K just says, welcome all for a member for 4 months. And thank you, Big Dog, for 5 gifted subs. And he's going to be on rewatch. Thank you for that. Objective evidence, phone data, physics, medical examiner, yes. But more importantly, the first missing ring videos are the key. When Karen's SUV is left unattended, the first deleted is the focus. Yeah, I want to know, what about that video Morrissey talked about?
I think that's why they're fighting the metadata thing. If I'm being, blunt, right? I'm just a goat farmer, y'all. I'm nobody important. I'm not an officer of the court. I think that's why they're hiding the metadata.
And you also have the 42 missing minutes, and metadata would show you if it's clipped.
Somebody deleted it. Exactly.
Yeah. And Gerda K from South Africa gifted a membership. Great panel. Doesn't it seem like the Commonwealth provides some BS chain of custody, and Auntie Bev is going to say, remedy new trial, no need to inquire. Bye. Yes, I think you are right, LM, and I don't know what that currency is. I've never seen that before.
I've never seen that before. What was that?
I don't know. Trooper Proctor's conduct is spilling over to the Brian Walsh dismemberment case. Yes, that was mentioned, but they also mentioned the federal
Sandra Birchmore. Oh,
yeah. No, Proctor isn't part of the Birchmore case. That's Fanning and Garino.
Tully's got something to do with that too, doesn't
he? Yes, I believe
Maybe.
And Greg says, unfortunately, I foresee Bev denying both the motion to dismiss and the evidentiary hearing. Yes,
certainly
sadly,
the dismissal. Certainly.
Yeah, the dismissal won't happen. And thank you, Amber, for becoming a member. And thank you, T42, for being a member for 8 months. We love this panel too. Question, how can Bev keep getting away with her obvious bias? She is the judge. The judge rules if she is biased, and she will allow her bias. They can go after her on appeal, but appeal are for losers.
It's not easy to get rid of a judge, yo. It's not easy.
No. Any lawyers in the chat know if Judge Cannone was outside of the law by grave concern comment and their impact on the media? No, because the media isn't part of the trial. It can influence the jury, but you can't get anywhere with that. But then does the jury get to know about the voir dire? Court has to proceed like the voir dire didn't happen as far as the voir dire right. Voir dire is outside of the jury and won't be mentioned to the jury. And K-Dubs gifted 10 membership. Thank you so much, K-Dubs. Nice. But how else could the defense coordinate with them to get them to trial? It's not that they couldn't coordinate, it's that they didn't disclose the coordination. And I know all of these is way back, but it's the big problem with these panel shows. We always get so many good chats going, and then we didn't get to pull it up. Sorry. Kim with 20. If the pieces of taillight that the cert found had been there since 12:30, would they not also be encapsulated in snow and ice like the taillight that was on Karen Reed's car at 8 that morning when CPD went and checked on the kids? Well, they had a really good explanation for that. We found the taillight when we were scooping up all the snow, and then we put it back on the snow to show you where we found it.
Yeah,
that's just stupid.
It's really stupid.
Because they put it on top of the snow, so they didn't put it where they found it, because they must have found it under the snow if it was at the scene at that time. That's one of those things where you really needed those establishing shot of the crime scene too. I agree, brother. Counsel, defense need to kiss. Oh, I pulled that one up. Thank you, Boston. Do you think the federal investigation is really over? I have no idea any way or the other.
I would doubt it, just because I don't think they really close those very often, right? Like if there's unfound
new evidence will open it up again tomorrow.
Right, I think they just leave it open. It's just
yeah, that's why I don't believe that they called a witness and said, hey, by the way, you're never going to get called in that case. That doesn't happen. Because do they find DNA tomorrow that proves something has to be looked at? Then the case is open again. Then they'll call that witness. It didn't happen. And if you're the first one to report it is Plevin, I would always Even though Plevin is my only source for Karen Reed news, don't believe everything Plevin says. I have bitten that apple once or twice and been found out it's rotten. Doesn't the defense have to stick with the frame theory at least a bit due to the taillight evidence? Yes, but as Brother Counsel said, don't get into it. Just touch upon it, but
it's messed up.
Yeah. What do you think John was expecting getting into the house? Confrontation, body cops hanging out, etc. I think if he went to the house, especially with Karen outside, he probably just said, well, it's just going to be one beer. I'm just going to go in and say goodnight to everyone, have a beer, and that's why she sits outside for 20 minutes and then gets mad when he doesn't come back out, because we have all done it, said, well, I'll be home. I'll just have one beer and I'm home. And then it's 6 o'clock next morning. And wives tend to not find that a good idea. They're weird women. That's why I'm single. Is there an amount of time that would prepare Colin for testimony? A day, 2 days, 2 weeks? He seems a little soft brain-wise. I don't know Colin for anything. I didn't even watch him on the stand because that was when I was in Tennessee. But he has a weird way of falling because he falls knuckles first. I've never done that.
I have, but I'm not going to go into it.
Can they request Sallyport videos from other cases to compare? Doesn't help because the Sallyport overrides after 30 days and they have changed the cameras now. And thank you, Giant G, for 5 gifted memberships. Oh, I'm so far behind. Can we get the guy that built a cannon on the stand again, please? He should be back. Dr. Wolf should be back. Brennan will do whatever he can to keep him out, but highly unlikely they will keep him out. And I will add another $2 to Brandy's swear jar. This panel, so many great minds coming together. Thank you, Corina, for the 7 months. How can anyone, especially Bev, say Karen Reed wasn't prejudiced when a hearing is needed to determine 5 videos, 5 W's of Sallyport? 5 W's? Can you?
I got nothing.
I got nothing. Because Bev will rule as she always does, and no one is prejudiced against the defense. The defense should just do better. Bev is highly prejudiced in this trial. So, whenever you ask that question that says, what would a reasonable person do in this case, you take the opposite of that and think that's what's going to happen in this case. Thank you all for covering all of this insanity in Norfolk County. This is much bigger than Karen Reed. Turtle Boy corruption runs deep, and there are many others. Colleen, I've said that 1,000 times that a fish always rots from its head. And Rafferty is now a potential witness because she turned off video, because it means that it's the leader that makes it.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's a weird state of saying.
No, a fish always...
You can tell though that it's a culture up there, right? Like you can see it in the way law enforcement interacts with each other, the way their families interact, the way they act on the stand. It's a dirty culture up there. And
you can see it with the amount of people who goes into law enforcement and drops out really fast again. That we talked about this last week. That kind of shows that there must be some kind of training day scenario going on. Are you on the team or are you not on the team? If you're not on the team, you'll leave fast. Garcia, Eduardo, Enrique, I can't never remember. The police cadet who had an accident.
The training accident, and now he's
training accident where he lost all his teeth. Again, we both been in the army and probably did some defense drills or something, and you stop before that, especially at a police academy. And yes, please go into if you're not already following my wonderful guest, link should be in the description. Thank you, Special K, great show. And K-Dubs gifted another 10 memberships. You are also very, very kind. V5, who, what, where, when, and why. Thank you, Just Joe. All saying in journalism. Okay, I didn't know that.
That checks out.
smart people in chat, not on the show.
That checks out.
But again, an evidentiary hearing is it's interesting if they can get that. They at this point, as Martin said, they should get it, but we have seen a lot of should haves in this case that never happened. So
she's running the show. Hopefully, the defense team can work around it.
They can try, but it's not easy. Well, you are a bit late because the guests have left. It's a schoolboy mafia.
Well, sort of, except they'll have badges and guns, so it's a little more intense.
Yeah, and the taxpayers of Massachusetts have given them a whole heck of a lot of power that they can exert over the people in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Farwell is singing his ass off in jail. I'll believe it when I see it. That's the big problem. There's a lot of people who postulate a lot of things, but we haven't seen anything really coming out of that. I'm disappointed with the Birdsmore trial that nothing really have come out of it other than that one guy who got swept up in it. It's
what are they? I mean, the jail's also ran by the same club. You know what I mean? Like it's the cops are in the jail, the cops are in the corrections office. Like it's hard to fight corruption when it's the entire system, yo.
That the big problem is, as I said, the fist rots from its head. Why haven't the Senate, the governor, whatever it's called in a state, why haven't they started looking into this? She's very, I've been told, I don't know her, very pro the feminist movement. Shouldn't she be looking at cases like this and saying, why are they railroading this woman? Why are they treating Sandra Birdsmore like they're treating her? And yes, Kate, you are 100% correct. I am surprised the state isn't bringing charges in the Birdsmore trial. Again,
especially now,
I think it's the same problem as with the Proctor thing. If they get any of them convicted or get in trouble before the trial starts, it'll look really bad for the state. And that's why I don't believe Proctor, it'll be continued again until after Karen Reed's trial. And if she's found not guilty, he'll be fired. And if she's found guilty, he'll get a slap on the wrist and said, oh, bad boy, and be back in a uniform.
It's gross.
Yeah. Oh, she was the AG when it happened. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, then she's part of the problem. Yeah, isn't it in Boston? They are Berkeley Burger, Whitey Buckler. What's his name? The Brennan
Whitey
Bulger. Yeah,
Bulger.
He lasted 24 hours. He didn't last 24 hours in prison, and he also had things he could say. The ex-son-in-law is Leo. The blue line is cops protecting cops. He was involved, and now he's an ex. So proud my daughter walked away. There are good cops out there. There are great cops out there. There are people who really, truly believes in protect and serve. But there's also an age-old fact. If you get power, you get corruption.
Novel concept.
Yeah. We just had a politician who got elected to the EU Parliament who wrote, because a journalist was asking him a question why he needed to go on some travel that cost $250,000 or something like that. And he said, why are you asking me question? I made more money. I have bigger friends than you. And what the hell? And he's from in Denmark, the Liberal Party is the right wing, less state, less everything. And he just attacked the journalist saying, well, if you, I have made more money than you, so I don't have to listen. You're an effing politician. Shut up. So
absolute power corrupts absolutely is the saying.
Yes.
That's not the saying. That's a different saying. That's different.
This is for masked vigilantes, but Jemima is a follower of a rebel scum movement, so of course she goes for vigilante justice. Brennan has not read the transcript or watched the trial. If he did, he would not have argued the issues he did on the 18th of February. It does not make sense. He actually said, I read the transcript, and then when he amended his statements, because he effing lied his butt off.
Yeah, he lied again.
Yeah. And then he said, by the way, I didn't read the transcript. That's why I asked if, and I could see maybe that was one of those questions a lawyer won't answer, but I just have that feeling that his team isn't playing ball with him. I think they're hanging him out to dry. They don't like him. They don't like that they hired some hired gun to come in and take over the case, even though none of the DAs allegedly wanted to do it. But I feel like he's not dressed. We call it dressed for the case. That's probably another stupid Danish saying. But he doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know the rulings. He doesn't know the motions that have been filed in this case. So I just think that he thought it's an easy paycheck. The team can run it, and I can just be the head of it. And then they're not playing ball with him. That's just my. Doesn't Ally Mccabe work for the AG's office? I think she did. I'm not sure if she still does. But she did at some point, at least. He watched the trial. Didn't he say he didn't watch the trial?
He said he didn't. He said that he didn't watch it, and then he said that he'd only read the transcripts, and then later he said that he didn't even read the transcripts. But I think he's full of crap, to be honest. I think he probably watched a good chunk of it. I think he's read parts of it. I think he's read what he feels he needs to, and that's about it. I don't think he knows the nuances so much.
Yeah, and that's the big problem. Hey, Shane Reynolds. That's the big problem in this case is because he has the swagger of a man who thinks he can just steamroll this little honky-tonk town and these stupid lawyers.
The swagger.
But the defense team is just or even bigger shots than he is. And he's coming in with that defense attorney attitude. And I really don't, and I think Brandi and I agree 100% on he's playing offense like he's defense, and you can't do that because he attacks witnesses the wrong way. We saw it with Dr. Russell where he threw the book on the table. Oh, you haven't read this? It's a stupid book about, you could get Cesar Millan's book. It's the same book. From a vet, it has nothing to do with this case. That's why he never brought it up the second time. And because we probably all know Dr. Russell had read that book before she was in the plane on her way home to California.
I'm sure. Chad is pointing out that it was Caitlin Albert, not. Yeah. I was going to make sure you saw that.
Yeah. I don't. That's one of my big problems. I'm so bad with names. So I can't remember who's Kelly, who's Caitlin.
This one's tough because they're all related somehow, right? So all the McCabes used to be Alberts, and it's incestuous is what I would use to term these people.
I'm sorry, Marissa. Don't you think the jury will find Hank distasteful? That's why I'm saying that if he goes at witnesses with that attitude, we have a prosecutor in the court I'm hanging out in a lot, and she has the same, even her own witnesses, she's attacking. And I find it so, I get, hey, relax, lady. But I do it a lot, but the jury in this case will probably never have sat in a courtroom before. And if I get annoyed after doing this for 13 years, imagine how a first-timer will feel. It's good when it's the defense. It's not good when it's the state who comes off that way, because they should be the one. We had the case. We wanted to bring this case.
Should be.
But I don't know. But Valhalla, great show as always. We are lucky we have great friends.
Very true. Very true. It was good to meet Brother Counsel.
Yes.
And of course, Brandi is amazing. We love her to death. So
we have to thank Marissa for booking the show. We will try and see if we can set up another a few
Panel.
people on next Sunday. To talk, because this week is gonna be. If you thought last week was crazy, just wait.
It's just going to keep getting crazier.
Yes, it's right now the outstanding motions that they need to rule on, or Bev need to rule on, is the dog bite expert from the state, the ground hardness expert, the weatherman.
Which is such a silly concept. The weatherman's going to tell you if you had a possible water leak that kept the ground soft. Like, there's no way they could possibly test the yard at 34 Fairview to see how hard it was that day. It's an absolutely ridiculous concept. Sorry. I got a little
Marissa, it's always... I bet you there'll be Emily D. Baker. I can't pull Emily D. Baker. I would love to, but... maybe if you want Marissa to try and reach out to some people, if you have someone we don't see as much, please go in the Discord, in the Karen Reed chat, and say, Marissa, I think you should try and reach. And some people we have reached out to, we will never tell you who we reached out to if they said no and stuff like that, because we don't want to start any beef or people are saying, oh, anything. So we will never tell you if we have talked to them. We'll just say, oh, sounds interesting, because... some people have a lot of stuff on their plate. We need to know about Bettero's Pro Hawk status. We need to figure out if they're going to change the scheduling. And the big one is the motion to dismiss. So this week, 2 potential 3 days in court. It's going to get crazy, y'all, as the young kids say. Thank you, Stace, for
Stace.
11 months, and Queen Olive for 9 months. We could have a baby now. And Alessi's big brain to free Karen Reed. Thank you so much for the super chat and saying thanks. I can get the EDB. Well, if you can get EDB, I think we need to set a time frame, because we always end up talking too much.
I don't think it's a bad thing. I think we just need longer time limits. I think that's the fix here. I think we need to go longer than an hour. That's the...
But it's trick. Because we didn't say anything about an hour. And then people think, oh, it's going to be an hour. And then people start talking, and then you're, oh, we never ever got to half the questions people asked. But please, everyone, go subscribe to everyone who was so generous with their time to meet up with us. Go look at all of their content, because they are great people, and they're interesting. And what I like about them, it's very, very based on facts. Some channels, no mentioned, none forgotten at the golf, might have focused more about making themselves part of the story or claiming that they had special evidence. These people we have talked to today have absolutely not done that. They are analyzing based on the facts of the case, and that's I really like that, because there's a lot of rumors, there's a lot of stories, there's a lot of what ifs, there's a lot of theories, and we don't need that. We just need one truth to be certain. John O'Keefe was not hit by Karen Reed's SUV. This is proved by the lack of injuries to his body and the lack of injuries to her car. Valhalla, pimp yourself.
I am Valhalla 08. I have a very small goat farm in East Tennessee, and sometimes I stream about that. Sometimes I stream about legal stuff. Sometimes I do art. If you don't know me, come check me out. Valhalla waits. And of course, appreciate it, Baker. This is always a great time.
And Valhalla will be back and helping me.
Oh, actually, my bad. This Saturday we have a Lego stream with Recovery Addict this Saturday. I think Recovery Addict is doing a Lego stream Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern. I hope that's right. It's either him or it's Vice Baby. I had it right. All right. So Recovery Addict is our guest this Saturday on Lego. Next March 22nd, I think, is the next one. So we got a little ways between. But Recovery Addict is going to come over. That's going to be awesome. And I can't wait to get to know that guy because I've never heard a single bad thing about him.
He is wonderful. He is also a very, very genuine, really nice person. I had him on for my Christmas 13 creators for Christmas. Wonderful person. Very, very friendly, very, very generous with his time as well. So you will enjoy your time with him. Did I hear you're single? I've been single forever.
Yeah, Baker's been single. He's been single since him and EDB got divorced.
Yeah. I'm broken Baker because Emily D. Baker broke me. That's a joke, y'all. It's not true.
That's funny. That's funny.
It's our joke. But yes, I'm single and I'm what's called happily divorced.
Happily divorced.
Y'all, please tickle the like button, tickle the sub button if you like what we did. I like to do these panels on weekends so we can get some coverage because there's so much going on. When and if anything happens in court, that it gets a little tough getting people together. But I will try and see if we can book a few people till next Sunday. So please like, subscribe, and do all the YouTube things. And I'd never give up on Sarah Boone, but I think she's too much. She's too much woman for one man.
That's for sure.
You all go out there, have a great Sunday. See you later.
What exhibit are you referring to?
I'm going to make this 100, Your Honor.
All right.
100.
100.
Because it is 100%
100%.
correct.
So you literally built a cannon?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
All right, I'm in love.
Go back. Please do that again. Oh, that was the cutest thing I've ever seen.
While I'm waiting for this, did you, whether it's true or not, believe that Mr. Randolph had slept with your wife?
I wouldn't have cared.
You wouldn't have cared?
No.
Did you believe he had slept with your wife?
No.
Did you believe he slept with your mother-in-law?
Probably did. Everybody has.
So there.
Everybody has.